Welcome back with another bang. It's the React Pals. Hope you're having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
At one point, you're going to see that he opens the door of the vehicle, he retrieves a coat, he puts that coat on, and you're going to see that at different parts to include the photo that the sheriff talked about. We use this video information as well as what I said earlier about the financial records in terms of purchases being made with different credit cards, call data records, a video canvas at multiple locations, trying to use all of that to corroborate that the individual that we've identified is the same individual that drove that Tesla during that route that we've identified. Please keep in mind, this is a very extensive investigation, so there's a lot of content for us to review and examine. We're just showing examples and samples as we get them. There's more information as we go through it. But in this video, you can see even the distinctive jacket that he is wearing.
This video is going to be really important. We just came across some very critical information about the phenomenon happening in the Northeast. About those things flying in the sky. Now this actually gets insane because this came out on the Shawn Ryan show, and Shawn Ryan said he's going into hiding after this. That those things flying in the sky have to do with this situation right behind me, and a certain place that loves dragons. Now first, disclaimers, all of this is allegations coming from mainstream sources at this point. I'm not saying that any of this stuff is true, I'm just telling you what's being reported. And also that the emails sent from this guy right here have already been validated. So we're not getting into the whole accident, all we're getting into is what he sent in email and his manifesto about all of the things that we've been seeing in the sky. And again, he states that they're coming from the place that loves dragons. This email was again sent by the same person that was in the Cybertruck. So he says it's a place across the ocean. I hate using these dumb words and fill-ins. They were using anti-gravitic technology to be in our sky. And he also says that only we and them have this technology. And that also it was a show of force, basically being like a checkmate. That country basically saying that, oh, y'all in the US, you can't do crap, much like the balloon that was in the sky last year, I believe. And this information that was dropped today is actually going to make Shawn Ryan go into hiding, allegedly. Let's see his reaction to all this stuff going on.
Hey, what's up? We're doing an emergency episode here with Sam received an email from the Green Beret. A little nervous to do this one, but
I wonder why he'd be nervous after that. And if these allegations are true, I wonder why this would be allowed to go on. I did come across this information a few hours before it was released, but because the rules of TikTok, I cannot say it until another mainstream source says it. You can watch the entire interview on Shawn Ryan's YouTube channel, and I encourage you to make haste and do that. Also, if you want me to be able to talk clearer, here's my main platform for this place. And right here at this place, you will find very, very long videos that go very, very deeply into things. Things very important going on right now that you should know.
Shout out to the Real Moon Henry. Make sure you go follow the Shawn Ryan situation. It's crazy. An emergency episode, then go underground.
He says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. He goes on to explain a variety of other grievances and issues, some political, some personal, a variety of other things which we will do our best to release very quickly here.
Drones. The Las Vegas Cybertruck attacker was supposedly working on a new project involving drones. You know this for two reasons. One, his ex-girlfriend came forward with messages that Matt was texting her about the Cybertruck just days before the explosion. And in those text messages, he said, quote, "I'm building drones in my new position. You would love it." And now Shawn Ryan, the famous podcaster, former Navy SEAL, and CIA contractor, has released an email from the Las Vegas attacker saying that he wanted to blow the whistle on something that was going on before January 1st, that he felt that people possibly in the intelligence agencies were after him and he wanted to get this information out. Shawn Ryan released this email and now said that he's going to be off of social media. He's going to be offline for a while for his own protection. This story is just getting crazier and crazier and makes you wonder, one, why his family have said there's no way that he would ever do this. Two, why he had a pew-pew wound to the head that no authorities can seem to account for. And three, why he would be sending emails to Shawn Ryan, the podcaster, about blowing the whistle on something and wanting to do it just days before the Las Vegas attack. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Shout out to WFF News. I agree, this story has taken a twist. It's gotten crazy. Sam shoot me. That's who got the email. This feel like a James Bond movie or something. 007. I feel there's a lot of double agents in the mix.
But well, it started off as comments. So when you have a big Instagram account, you're going to miss a lot of messages because people message, go to hidden messages and everything else. You miss a lot of stuff. Well, I kept seeing this comment on recent posts that I put in there, and it was from this burner account that said, hey, check your DMs, check your DMs, check your DMs. So I go in there and try to find it. There's no message from this guy, hadn't come through or whatever. And then he messages again once that message was opened up. And I said, hey, your previous messages haven't come through. What do you want to tell me? And he said, what I'm going to send you, now these are literally his words. What I'm going to send you is going to change the course of humanity. That was his phrase, change the course of humanity. Okay. A little bit dramatic. I get these messages all the time. People have this big story they want to tell. They want to expose their command, whatever. I take everything with a grain of salt until I have evidence and proof. So this guy is insistent. He tells me that he is a 18 Zulu who I've spoken to before, and he really needs to get this stuff to me. And then he talks about you. He says, I need you to get me in contact with Shawn Ryan. I'm like, dude, I don't know Shawn Ryan. I'm not that big, but he's insistent that I get him diverted to media sources, says go to Fox News, whatever else. And I said, all right, tell me what you got. So I give him my Proton email account, give him my signal number, and he reaches out immediately. And I'm going to read this initial message for you because this doesn't have names or anything else on it, but this was his message on Sunday. He reached out and said, like I said, this last Sunday, he said, sending with a VPN active on Wi-Fi only. Do not message me. I will send out updates via both Signal and email, but trust me, you're going to want to be involved. Well, first of all, no, I didn't want to be involved. Anyways, and then, so I didn't message. I responded back to his original Instagram message, and I said, hey, I got your message on Proton Mail, and he said, cool, delete this. So I deleted it. That's how I ended up getting this message on Tuesday. So the message that this right here, this manifesto, if you want to call it that, came in on Tuesday. And when I started reading this, my initial take was, okay, this is off the deep end. It's bonkers. I can't validate or verify any of the stuff in this manifesto. Mm-hmm. And I told him that in a subsequent email. And I'll read that to you later, my response to him. And once again, my response to him elicited, hey, get me in contact with Shawn Ryan, Fox News, and he even said Pete Hegseth. Get me in contact with Hegseth. And I'm like, dude, I don't have the incoming Secretary of Defense's phone number. Sorry, bro. That's the last time I talked to him. So yesterday morning.
What date was that?
That was Tuesday. That was this Tuesday. So we're Friday now. That was 3 days ago.
So
the day before.
30th?
Yeah, the day before the attack. I dismissed this stuff out of hand.
The 31st. It was on the 31st.
Yes. In fact, I posted something on my... I told your producer about this as well. But this was a post I made on Twitter. I was just trying to be humorous, off the cuff. It was... I didn't mean anything about it. I was just being humorous for my audience. And I said, my inbox was especially eventful today. Allegations of war crimes, government anti-gravity technology, and fears about being tracked and watched by the feds. It's always, the world is ending and I have this information that needs to get to the media, and never, how you doing, brother? Everything all right? I was just playing off of a meme. Mm-hmm. It was just supposed to be a joke. That was the body of his email that he sent me. And I didn't think anything about it. I didn't know who Matt Berg was, Matt Livelsberg, or anything else. He told me who he was in the email. He pointed me to his LinkedIn account. I didn't know any of this stuff. And I was just kind of being humorous with my audience. Like, I get these crazy messages sometime. And then the day after that message, I wake up and it was like, hey, Sam, nobody in the community seems to know this guy. Do you happen to know who he is? And I played that for you before we came up here. Just absolute shock. That's how I woke up yesterday.
Do you want to play it now?
Yeah, excuse my language. I was definitely in shock. Let me find this chat. So,
while you're digging through that, what we should do? I should get that Instagram account from you to see if they messaged any of our Instagram accounts, and we should also get that email
I don't have
address.
It. I deleted it.
You deleted it.
He told me to delete it, and I deleted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should also get that email address and see if they sent it in through the website, and see if he tried to contact us. Get that to the FBI.
So I'm in a military.
Hopefully they actually do something.
Yeah, I'm in a military group chat buddy, Green Beret, Corey, he says, at Sam, nope, nobody I've asked in the community knows him. You is at 8:46 a.m. yesterday. So I woke up and I said, OF, I'm shaking. This guy emailed me 2 days ago. I'm not playing. And then he said, damn. And then this was my response to him at 8:48. Like, just woke up.
Dude, I'm fucking shaking, bro. You don't understand. This guy emailed me and told me he was being watched by the FBI and Homeland Security, but they weren't going to do anything to him because he had a VBID. I'm not fucking playing, dude. I have the email. I am shaking, man. This is nuts.
And it goes from there. And I sat there for probably an hour talking to my wife. I'm shaking. I can't even think straight. Like, normal day is shot. And I didn't know what I want to do. Do I sit on this? Do I do nothing with it? I've got to tell somebody. I've got to tell the FBI at least, because this is huge. This is all over the news. And then I was like, well, dude, this guy wanted to get in contact with Shawn Ryan. So let me get this to Shawn Ryan, see if I can get with him. And I had a buddy who knew your producer, and we went from there. But
Wow. You want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operations Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive VBID. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive VBID. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a VBID was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice, and he goes, you said that word VBID. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a VBID, for your audience who has not been in the GWAT for the last 20 years, a VBID is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So, backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive VBID. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff, and this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with redacted IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger. an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110. That's 1st Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head. Like, I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't. And he said, can I get on Fox News Contact on Signal as well as Sean's show? Hegseth would be good too. That was his last message to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, what is a gravitic propulsion system?
To be honest with you, it is a fancy term you're going to find in science fiction. You won't find it in any, as far as I know, you won't find this in any kind of official manual or, scientific research. This is all science fiction. So, but what struck me is his use, what strikes me now, not then, but what strikes me now is his use of a very specific term that nobody else would call it. If you asked me, I would say an anti-gravity propulsion system. That's how I would describe it because I don't know this stuff. He said gravitic propulsion system.
Gravitic propulsion systems. Sounds like that Terrence Howard Iron Man-ish to me. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Bro. So this man got emailed the manifesto before it happened? Am I understanding this right? And after this, Shawn Ryan goes into hiding. I'm so confused right now. He wanted to go to the media outlets with this and gets the email the morning of, and the email system they were using, man. This wasn't no ordinary civilian communication.
We are the United States of America, the best country, people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took.
If you did not watch the recent Shawn Ryan podcast interview with Sam Shoemate, the retired intelligence officer, I need you to stop what you're doing right now and go watch it. The information that was dropped on that interview is absolutely mind-blowing. Guys, Shawn Ryan is talking about going into hiding with his family because of all the information that they spoke about in the recent interview. If what they are saying is true about this guy that's supposed to be responsible for the Tesla explosion in front of Trump Tower, then it's either we are being highly gaslit right now or some shit is about to go down in the United States. This man is literally going to be titled the whistleblower of the year because they think that he is still alive. They think that the person that was in that Tesla truck was a decoy, and the whole purpose of what he did is to get out the information about the United States drone program, okay, and their affiliation with China, guys. In addition to some other things that I cannot say on this video, all I'm going to tell you, go watch that interview and watch it twice because the last 15 minutes of that interview will leave you flabbergasted, okay? Y'all, 2025 is about to be something different, and if you ain't ready, you better get ready.
I totally agree. If you're not ready, it's time to get ready. Shout out to Michelle Monique 1. I agree. Either we're being highly gaslit right now or some ish about to hit the fan. It's so controversial because there's so many questions that need to be answered.
Most recently, we've been involved in West North Carolina a great deal. And we had some confirmed reporting through two solid sources. And this is where I have to be very iffy. And I told him in the car, and he can tell you offline, I cannot say this on the air, but we had two solid sources, one south of the border and then one from an element within our own government that confirmed independently of each other that some Iranian-made man pads, so surface-to-air missiles, had come across the border. We had the location and everything else. Well, Doc, that's what he goes by, Doc Chambers, he put this out on a podcast, and I was very emphatic, like, this is not stuff that I like to put on social media. I'm an intel guy by trade. This stuff is not for social media consumption. We got this to Secret Service. We did the whole gamut and got everything pushed to them. And that's why Trump was pushing a lot of this stuff out when he was, because we had told the Secret Service and they had the reporting and everything else. But we have not, to my knowledge, have not recovered those man pads. Now, I'm not privy to that, but what I do know we have done is we have apprehended the couriers on a second run of theirs, and we have local law enforcement got together with federal law enforcement and rolled up the safe house in, I will not say that on this show, but they rolled up the safe house where it was, and we have since identified what that issue was on the border.
Now, let me just, where did they come through?
They came through an actual point of entry, in a legal point of entry, along the border. I'd have to pull up the original reporting, but, we had the actual.
So we now have Iranian missiles. Who knows how many, and inside the United States.
That is not something you're going to see in a lot of places. Like I said, I didn't even want to talk about it. It was one of those things where I was just amplifying what he was putting out already, because I was like, man, I don't know about putting this out. But it was something we found was pertinent, because at the time, Trump was still campaigning. He was flying around, and there was the reports were their intent was to take down Trump's airplane. So at the time, Secret Service switched things up a bit, and allegedly, from what I've told, they started flying him around on charters for a while until they could identify and kind of mitigate that threat. But that was the reporting stream that was coming out at the time. Feds handled it, off my plate.
I mean, I'm with you on the not releasing certain things on social media. I understand that. But on the other hand, it seems to be the only way to demand any type of accountability or get this and force FBI, Homeland, whoever else is involved to dive into this shit and actually take part. And that's what we've been doing here on the show with Scott Mann, retired Lieutenant Colonel Green Beret, Sarah Adams, former agency targeter. We brought on Legend, who's an Army intelligence guy who goes by Legend because he doesn't want to reveal his name because he still is very involved. And we even went all the way to Vienna to interview Commander Massoud, the leader of the National Resistance Front in Afghanistan. And, we've been talking about this stuff for a year. We got it to Congress. Congressman out of Knoxville, Tennessee, Tim Burchett, sent the bill up. It's literally about we need to stop funding the Taliban, $40 to $87 million a week. The Taliban has set up multiple NGOs within Afghanistan, and basically what we're doing is sending loads of cash to NGOs that the Taliban had set up. We're funding our own demise, and nobody's fucking paying attention. Nobody's paying attention. We tried to get it in the media. We got a little bit of hits. Most of them were from outside the U.S. We had a reporter out of India kind of cover it, but we've been warning about what's happening for damn near a year now. Sarah first came on, I believe it was October of 2023 was her first interview, and nobody took it seriously. Now we have the New Orleans attack. We have Iranian missiles. We have these invisible bombs. Do you know about the invisible bombs? So now these terrorist organizations have developed invisible bombs that will get through metal detectors, any kind of screening device that's out there. And they brag about this. And now we just did a Twitter Spaces with Sarah Adams, and they are now bragging that what we know about the invisible bomb, it's now even more advanced than it was before. So that means they can get this into stadiums. They can get this into airports. They can get this pretty much anywhere they want, because you cannot detect it.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Great.
So, for the people out there, look, there's no stopping what's here. You cannot stop this.
Nope. You can't roll it back.
Not with what we have
in the bottle.
already in here. We have sleeper cells.
Yep.
We're already getting reports that, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, we're already getting some reports that there may be a bit more involved in the Louisiana, New Orleans attack that they're not releasing. We also, I'll tell you this, there's a group of people flying around and basically briefing up different departments, governors about what's coming, how to deal with it in their communities. There are deputies in New Orleans who put in requests for training on how to take care of a threat like this, and those fucking requests were denied. They were denied. And so what I basically want to say is it's going to be a bloody 2025. I think that's very obvious. And so for those of you that are looking for something to do and if finally come to the realization that our government is failing us, here's what you need to do. You need to get with your local communities. You need to, especially schools. Schools are very vulnerable no matter how many active shooters we have in the schools. The infrastructure that's been put in, which is minimal to none, a lot of schools still have none. You better start holding your schools accountable, and you better start raising hell and having them upgrade security no matter what the cost, because no matter what the cost is, it's not gonna amount to the loss of life that we will potentially see throughout the United States. And start calling your congressman. Get these guys to do something. Yeah. Start calling your senators. Get these guys to do something. They have been warned for over a year that this is coming, and nobody wants to take it seriously. Nobody wants to take it seriously.
I'm not gonna lie, my mind is fried. This is mind-boggling stuff. I feel like my tinfoil hat is charged. Straight out the microwave. After what just happened on New Year's, you gotta remind yourself to stay level-headed and always watch your surroundings.
A sure destruction situation.
I wonder what he's trying to do with these, what he's trying to tell us with these drones.
I hesitate to even get into this realm because I have no expertise in drones or just call it alien technology, UFO technology, whatever's going on here. But here's one thing that I talked about with the guys downstairs earlier. Several weeks ago, I don't know if you saw that video. It was a New Jersey sheriff or chief of police. I can't remember which, but he flew their own drone up, their own department drone up to try to figure out what was going on. So we had all these drone issues that were being sighted off of New Jersey and everything. And what he commented on video was how fast these things were. He said, we have a pretty robust drone, and they flew it up there to try to catch these drones that were there, and they just, bam, they were gone. He said there was no catching them, never seen anything like it. They don't even know, they have no idea what that could have been. And so you have this capability that is, I guess, in line with what we hear about anti-gravity being. And I don't know. It makes you wonder.
Well, you have the stuff with Ryan Graves and, is it Dave Favor?
Commander David Favor.
The Commander David Favor, who, was it the Nimitz?
It was in the Nimitz strike group in 2004.
Yeah, the Nimitz strike group in 2004 that reported those UAPs coming out of the water that had no propulsion system.
I remember that.
But, and it's interesting that nobody seems to know what the drones are, and it just, kind of disappeared out of the media. And, and the other thing is we do have the capability to take these drones out. While everybody was trying to figure out what the drone's on, I brought on a very prominent businessman, Joe Lonsdale, who is the co-founder of a company called Epirus. Epirus is they manufacture these directed EMP weapons that can take out 100 drones at a time, with basically sends out a simultaneous, different directed EMP weapons. Brought him on. He's also, founder of Palantir, big AI platform that the military's been using.
Sure.
That kind of revolutionized warfare.
Big fan.
So we could have taken those drones out in any moment in time. In fact, I know those are deployed. So that could be. So he had two objectives. One, he definitely wanted to bring light to 2019. That obviously affected his code of morals, and the drones.
Yeah.
And he's obviously very worried about World War III, which I think everybody right now. But why Trump Hotel? Why Las Vegas?
Yeah. Conjecture and speculation at this point. I couldn't even tell you. You know, I've heard both sides. I've seen them finding posts from his wife, who's very allegedly, I'm not saying this, I'm just saying what has been put out on social media is very anti-Trump. She has had a number of anti-Trump posts, and then him, who his family say is a stalwart patriot, Trump supporter, all these other things, which I guess if I had to guess, just in the realm of conjecture again, I would say Trump Tower, it draws more media, more fanfare. Was this an assassination attempt? That kind of stuff. So you get more press, more media pulling into it because it is such a significant namesake, if you will. But at the same time, it was a fireworks display and very little more. And if I'm running with the theory that I proposed a little while ago, he didn't want to hurt anybody. He wanted to send a message.
No, I mean, it's very obviously, look, the guy's got great tradecraft. You know, I mean, he changed his signal number, if that was him, or his, whatever the contact number on Signal. 20 plus year in special operations at the highest level. He picked a car that's bulletproof to do this. I think, there definitely wasn't mass casualties. He wasn't trying to hit mass casualties, because otherwise he would have done it at another location as well, or the bomb would have been bigger to take the entire building
I agree.
out. And so this definitely wasn't, in my opinion, incompetence.
Another thing to support this. So you got the email. He desperately wanted to talk to you before December 31st. He knew beyond a shadow of a doubt January 1st was go day. Nobody was pressuring him. At the beginning of this email, we see, first of all, I'm not under duress or hostile influence or control. Okay. So he says that he reached out to you. He was very emphatic that it had to be before December 31st because he was doing this thing on January 1st. For some reason, that was a landmark day to him. Maybe it was just because big day for everybody, January 1st. But he was very emphatic that was the time. And then the thing he was trying to do was, overall, more than anything, was get a message across on the biggest platforms possible. He was trying to talk to Pete Hegseth. Why would you want to talk to the Secretary of Defense? He's trying to blow the whistle on these war crimes. He's trying to say this thing happened, man. Like, I can't live with this anymore. He desperately needed to talk to you, the biggest platform out there. He needed to talk to Fox News. I need to get this message out. That was his overall goal. In everything else, everything I've seen, I have not seen the intended goal was to kill himself or to create a mass casualty event. It is to get this message out. And how can I do that? What is the biggest bang for my buck? How can I get that done? That's what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. It's a damn good point. Wow. Do you think there was any correlation between him and the New Orleans attack?
No.
I don't either.
I looked at all of that. I looked at the posts. I looked at people are scrambling for news. Everybody wants to post something. They want to be the guy on social media that posts the groundbreaking thing. And I saw these connections to Fort Bragg, and they deployed together at this time. And it was great. So did 500,000 of the rest of us. I was at Fort Bragg. Oh man, tie me to Delta Force. I must have been part of Delta Force and some stuff. No, I had nothing to do with them. It's this nonsense. It's a big organization. The Army is very large. You're picking things out and you're trying to make this a thing. That New Orleans guy was a staff sergeant who got out of the active duty Army in 2015, and he was in the reserves until 2020. people are saying in the last year he was radicalized. I talked to multiple of his peers, to include, I'm going to be very, very careful with this, former leadership. I'm not going to give what echelon they were at. Former leadership of his, there was no indication at all back then that he was radicalized. He didn't say I've seen the posts. I saw several people who were saying, well, we have confirmed posts that he was saying radical Islamic things. I don't believe it, because nobody he worked with confirmed that. They said, no, we had no indication that he was like this. And if you talk to people now, they said in the last year, he was radicalized. He started taking on these more radical teachings of Islam and everything else. And he had this, he fell into financial hardship and all these other things. So you're telling me this guy who was a former 42 Alpha S1 guy, human resources, pushes your paper, and then an IT guy, 25 Bravo, is somehow connected to a Green Beret team sergeant out of 10th? No.
Well, also they found an ISIS flag in New Orleans,
Which
they didn't find any of that here.
I think that might have been just some silliness on his part, trying to take on some kind of Islamic banner of jihad. I would conjecture, all conjecture, say that is likely he has no affiliations to ISIS. But
You know, I wonder, I don't really believe in coincidences, you know, and both of these explosions happened in the same day, or both of these attacks, whatever you want to call them, happened on the same day. The attack and the explosion, which obviously wasn't meant to be an attack.
That's fair, and I don't believe in coincidences either normally, but I look at a landmark day like January 1st, and I think, what better day? Any day. I'm going to do a thing January 1st.
Yeah.
And I think possibly old boy in New Orleans had help. I don't think that he could have done all the spotting and surveying and assessing himself. He would have likely had to at least had a spotter to say, yeah, you're good to go. Maybe, but I think that's plausible. But other than that, I have a hard time making that connection.
You know, this email, I wonder who else he reached out to. This came in from Dabber GMIB or MLB at protonmail.com. So he was even using an encrypted email service. But
protonmail.com. That don't sound like some Tony Stark's tech savviness. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I'm with Shawn Ryan on this one. I don't believe in coincidences either. And for the simple fact that Sam Shoemate said he also went to Fort Bragg, now I have to take what he says with a grain of salt. I think I'm starting to see why Shawn Ryan went underground.
A Tesla, which Elon Musk brags about being bulletproof, right? So this is one of his selling points. It's bulletproof. We even saw Joe Rogan shoot an arrow at it and wasn't able to puncture this thing. So he loads up a Tesla knowing that it's going to, not explode like he wants it to with fireworks and a bunch of other junk when he can make a car bomb that's going to level this place. Here's what I think. So the PAO, the Army PAO, is saying that the body inside the cab did not match the DNA of his child. All right. We also know that there was they said he was shot by a Desert Eagle. We know that there was no signature when it rolled up. So nobody shot themselves when it rolled up to it. You would have seen a large signature. Mr. Guns and Gear, he's on X. He goes into this a lot in depth. He's a firearms expert and he talks about this, and there's no signature. So this is what happens. You get a Tesla because it can drive itself up to the hotel, the Trump Tower. You put a body in it, roll it up. It's already burned up, or it's already shot, excuse me. You don't want to kill anybody because that's not the message you're trying to send. You're not trying to level the tower or kill a bunch of people. So you load it up with fireworks and a bunch of junk to send a message. And we know that his signal number or his signal safety number changed. That can't be done unless you're inside that signal account. And a lot of people conjecture, was the FBI inside his signal account, whatever else. But what if he accidentally changed his safety number, goofed up there? He rolled a body up in a Tesla specifically because a Tesla can drive itself up to the tower, and did what he did to send a message to expose his stuff. And he's still alive out there somewhere.
Well, the other
answers a lot of questions.
The other thing is maybe the FBI wasn't in his phone. Maybe, I mean, this guy's obviously very competent. I mean, he's got a TSSCI clearance, with a polygraph. He's been associated with USASOC. Obviously, he was on this operation in 2019. By the way, the general in charge of that was General Miller. You'll see that in the email that we post on X later after this interview comes out. You know, maybe he changed his number on purpose and switched phones because he obviously was tipped off or conducted his own counter surveillance and caught Homeland or FBI tracking him. And so I think there's a very good possibility that that Matthew Livelsberger might be still alive.
It checks, as far as I can tell, it checks all the blocks.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right, run these numbers up. Thanks again. Till next time.